RG3 is a pain in my ass, man. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. Um, well, if you're here, yeah, this is about Robert Griffin III, and more so, why Ryan Clark just gave him the read that he so badly needed and was super justified, and the problem with black men like RG3 and the white people who prop them up. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it all out there right now. But again, welcome to the channel. My name is Stephen J. Gaither. I am a journalist, um, entrepreneur, and content creator for 20 years now. That's crazy to say, and I'm taking the plunge into YouTube. On a different set of circumstances. You may know me from my company HBCU Game Day. Make sure you guys support that if you haven't already. But yeah, for the reason that we're here right now and what we're talking about, RG3, unless you've been under a rock the last couple of days, you know that he has inserted himself into the never ending saga of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And he got a read from Ryan Clark of The Pivot earlier today, justified, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. And I gave my 2 cents on Twitter, which I do all the time, and it's blowing up there. So I'll talk about my tweet in a second, but just want to get you guys familiar with the situation as it's going on, and I'll interject and we'll go from there.
When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story. Right. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. Now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what black women deal with a lot from black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over black women by denigrating black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical
right
tropes. And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less black than me.
Hold up.
There you have it. My guy, Ryan Clark, was cooking. He did not hold back any punches when it came to his commentary on RG3. And, you know, it definitely was warranted and needed, I felt. And so this was the tweet that came out of that for me. Of course, RG3 missed Ryan Clark's point and took it as a personal attack. It's much easier doing that than to taking a self-reflective look on what was actually said. Dude is clueless. And so, yeah, that was my thoughts on it. If you listen to just that one portion of it, there are people that are saying that he was out of bounds for bringing RG3's wife into the situation. But as he said, while he was making this commentary, this incendiary commentary that he knew was basically equal to what this basically was a dog whistle for, the sometimes racist aspect of the people who choose to support Caitlin Clark. And he was, very, again, in his commentary, Ryan Clark was very careful to make sure to say that Caitlin herself has not, fed into this. It's just something that surrounds her, and it's a fact. And so that surrounds Caitlin, whereas whenever it comes to Angel in these circumstances, the stereotype of the angry black woman was there. And when you have that backdrop painted, with RG3 making his comments about Angel Reese hating Caitlin Clark and making these gestures mimicking a black woman with his white wife in the background, to me, those comments were more than justified. They were more than justified. And there are, again, RG3, and I learned this a couple of months ago when I had an interaction with him about a situation about race. I had an interaction with him where he tweeted back at me, and I got all these weird MAGA folks in my mentions, and I had to basically, after a couple of hours, I just basically had to cut myself off from it because I was like, yo, I don't even want to deal with these people. These people are vile at worst, obtuse at best, and really are not well-meaning and don't really want to learn anything about black people and black perspectives. They have their bubble, their thought bubble, and they stay within that. And RG3 is someone who courts their attention. These are the people that RG3 considers a part of his viewership and his base. And he has shown us over the 15 years or so that he's been in the public eye that this is who he is. This is who Robert Griffin III is. He is someone who seeks approval online, and specifically by white people, and more specifically by conservative and often people who their overall content on their page, if you go to it, it is racist. It is racist. These are the people who feel comfortable enough with RG3 to agree with him and defend him against black people who call him out, oftentimes lovingly, but at this point it's pretty much just annoyed with who he has chosen to become and consistently show himself. And that is what Ryan Clark attempted to do. And it's just unfortunate when you look at a guy like RG3, very talented guy, could do a lot of things on the football field. And unfortunately, a lot of black men, especially that are raised in the South and are, football stars for sure, they find themselves in this weird space where they are praised for what their black bodies can do, right? And they are admired for what their black bodies can do by their white friends growing up, and their white guy friends, and the white women who seemingly flock to them because of what they can do. And not all, but a lot of them get to the point where they are not only comfortable, they crave that validation from those white people, conservative, mostly conservative, and sometimes just downright racist white people. They are embraced for their athletic ability, but they see that in the social construct, there are parts of their blackness that are frowned upon, and instead of standing up and apologetically being who they are, and if you don't give a damn, and if you don't like it, they don't give a damn. These people, these athletes, these guys just decide that, well, they will do whatever they can to make themselves palatable to the people that they have around them. We've seen it in so many ways play out, and RG3 is just one of the most prominent examples. We do have one from back in the day, of course, that's OJ, and you know that approval from those people usually comes with a great deal of self delusion and a dumbing down of yourself to be acceptable and palatable. Even again, Ryan talked about his time working with RG3, where he would joke about his wife and calling her milk, and there was even a tweet that came out a little bit earlier today where it resurfaced where his baby was close to his chest, and he said the baby wants some chocolate milk, and I'm just like, why would you say that? What's up? Why would you say that? Because yeah, when my daughter was born and she was close to me, yeah, she wanted some milk too, but why would you say chocolate milk? Again, when you get these consistent themes with himself and the white women that he surrounds himself with, you wonder, what does Robert Griffin Jr. the third, does he think that white women and black women have different milk? And you might say that's ridiculous, but that there's some type of, this is at best performative, at worst he really thinks that there's a difference between white people and black people, atomically, and you know and it just shows up in everything he does, including this commentary that he put out. And I think again that Ryan Clark really hit the nail on the coffin. And instead of, and I didn't expect him to take the high road and say, and have some self introspection and say, maybe these jokes, this consistently joking about me loving my white women, and hey, you know what? If that's his wife, love your wife. But maybe I need to calm down on these jokes about calling her milk and how I'm chocolate milk, and needing people to laugh and be comfortable with, our relationship that 50, 60 years ago would have gotten me killed. But hey, now it's a different time, and I'm here and I can have this white wife and we can joke about it, and I'm just, golly gee, I'm just excited, and I'm glad I'm married to this white woman and not this angry black angel girl. Like, I mean, it's silly, it sounds silly, but this is the mindset of RG3, and he consistently shows it, and it doesn't seem like he's willing to change it anytime soon, which is unfortunate. And I don't know if that we would want it to change, because we'll probably have to take something very drastic for it to change. But it doesn't even behoove him to change, because this is his brand. I don't think RG3 knows who he is beyond being palatable to conservative and racist white people. There was an instance, around the election time, or around, I believe, the inauguration time, where there was some of those MAGA folks were kind of coming at him for some of his views, and he seemed offended. And he, so a guy like RG3, man, you just gotta accept that is who he is, unfortunately. And he's a guy who has a platform, and he used his platform to douse fire, he used his platform to light a match to the fire that is Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And that's unfortunate. And he's gonna, and it won't be the last time he do it. He'll continue to do it. He'll continue to throw rocks and hide his hand. And those conservative and racist white people will continue to agree with his bullshit, and It'll be the same song and dance again. I really try to ignore the guy. I'm doing my best to ignore the guy, but sometimes, when a guy has that type of platform, you just kind of have to stand up to him and say, hey, you know what? This ain't right. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you like this video and you made it this far, please go ahead and give it a like. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you guys respond to this, I'll make some more videos like this. So I appreciate it so much. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.